In 1957, a man stood before a microphone, not with a song, but with a secret, one that would echo through decades, shaping the lives of those who dared to listen. He wasn't a celebrity or a politician. He was a thinker, a man named Earl Nightingale. And his message was simple, almost too simple for some to believe. We become what we think about. Those 6 words, recorded on a golden vinyl titled The Strangest Secret, carried more power than most people realized, because within them lay the key to unlocking the kind of life every one of us dreams about. He revealed that success isn't an accident, and it isn't luck. It's the natural result of what we continuously hold in our minds. Whatever we think about, whatever picture we nurture in the quiet moments of our imagination, becomes our reality. If we think of fear, we attract fear. If we think of success, we move inevitably toward it. This wasn't philosophy for philosophers. It was a blueprint for every worker, student, and dreamer willing to take control of their own thoughts. Think about it. In a world where technology changes every second, where distractions fight for our attention, this message still cuts through the noise like a bell in the fog. Why? Because truth doesn't expire. You can change the tools, the trends, the times, but you cannot change the law that what a man or woman thinks about most of the time, they become. The seed of thought planted in the mind will always produce a crop in the field of reality. So, what are you thinking about today? Are your thoughts a reflection of your fears or a rehearsal of your dreams? Earl Nightingale said, "People with goals succeed because they know where they're going." Imagine sailing a ship without a destination. You drift until you ran aground. But the moment you chart a course, even through storms, you begin to move with purpose. That's what happens when your mind knows where you want to go. You stop wandering, and you start winning. Now, success doesn't come overnight. Nightingale reminded us that we are the sum of our habits, and habits are simply thoughts repeated into action. The farmer doesn't plant one day and harvest the next. He waters, he waits, he works. The same is true for your goals. Guard your mind like fertile soil. Don't allow weeds of doubt to grow where the seeds of success are trying to sprout. Each day, decide again to think the thoughts that serve your vision, not your fears. And finally, remember this: the secret isn't really strange at all. It's just rare. Few people dare to believe that their thoughts hold that much power. But those who do, those who take this 1957 secret and make it their daily practice, discover something extraordinary: that success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. Earl Nightingale revealed it long ago, and it still works today. Picture for a moment that you wake up tomorrow morning, and everything you've ever thought about yourself suddenly becomes visible. Not your clothes, not your job title, but your thoughts. What would they reveal? Would they show a mind focused on fear or one directed toward faith and purpose? You see, every life that has ever been transformed began not with circumstance, not with luck, but with a single, disciplined thought. That's where the great turning point begins, in the quiet workshop of your mind. Because long before success appears on the outside, it is built piece by piece on the inside. The world often tells you that success is out there somewhere, in the market, in opportunity, in the approval of others. But that's the great illusion. Success has never been out there. It has always been within. It begins the moment a person decides to take charge of their own thinking. The mind is a garden, and thoughts are seeds. You may plant roses or you may plant weeds, but whatever you plant will grow. If you fill your mind with limitation, with fear, with doubt, you'll see those same things sprouting all around you. But if you sow ideas of growth, gratitude, and purpose, the harvest will be extraordinary. Now, imagine a young man or woman standing at the crossroads of life, unsure of which way to go. They look around and see others moving fast, some chasing success, others running from failure, and they wonder, what's the difference? Why do some rise and others stay still? The answer lies not in opportunity, not in chance, but in what each of them believes about themselves. The one who decides to think differently, to direct their mind toward possibility instead of impossibility, has already changed the outcome of their story. For what we continually think about, we move toward. That's the principle that shapes destinies. It's invisible yet undeniable. Every achievement, every invention, every empire began as an idea that someone refused to let die. The airplane existed first in thought, not in metal. The light bulb existed first in imagination, not in glass. Success, too, exists first in the realm of thought before it ever touches the realm of action. The tragedy is not that most people fail, it's that they never truly begin to think. Not consciously, not deliberately, not powerfully. So let's pause and look inward. What occupies your mind when the world grows quiet? What are the conversations you hold with yourself? Because those are the instructions your future is following. If your mind is a captain, then your thoughts are the map. Set the wrong course, and no matter how hard you row, you'll reach the wrong shore. But set the right one, and even the storms of life will push you closer to your destination. There's a remarkable truth that separates those who drift from those who design their lives, the understanding that thought is creative. You can never rise above the level of your own thinking. The individual who believes they can eventually will. The one who believes they can't already won't. It's not the world that holds us back. It's the belief that we are held back. Every limitation begins in the mind, and every freedom begins there too. And yet, this isn't merely about positive thinking. It's about responsible thinking. The kind that demands discipline, consistency, and clarity. It's about realizing that every thought is a cause, and every result in your life is its effect. Change the cause, and the effect must follow. If your results are not what you desire, don't fight the results. Change the thoughts that created them. You cannot think small and live large. You cannot dwell on failure and move toward success. But the moment you decide to think higher, to think purposefully, you begin to reshape everything around you. Each morning offers a new opportunity to direct your thoughts. You can think as the victim of circumstance or as the creator of possibility. You can focus on what you fear or on what you wish to build. The world has always been divided not by wealth, not by education, but by mindset. One group says, I can't. The other says, how can I? And in that difference of thought lies the difference in destiny. Think about it. Every successful life, every fulfilled dream, began with someone who simply thought differently. They dared to imagine beyond their surroundings, to see with the eyes of the mind before the world could see it with the eyes of the flesh. That's not magic. That's the law of life. You become what you think about. Not sometimes, not occasionally. Always, your thoughts are architects and they're building something. Right now, in this very moment, the only question is, what are they building for you? So, if you wish to change your world, don't start with the world, start with your mind. Guard it, feed it, direct it. For the world you experience tomorrow will be nothing more and nothing less than the reflection of the thoughts you hold today. That's where success begins, quietly, invisibly, powerfully, in the only place it ever could, your own mind. Every human being walks through life carrying an invisible workshop, a place where all their dreams, fears, and beliefs are crafted long before they ever take shape in the world. Within that workshop, the most powerful tool ever given to mankind operates quietly but unceasingly, the power of thought. Every result, every condition, every success or failure begins first as an idea in the mind. What we think about, we become. This isn't a poetic statement. It's a principle that governs the very direction of our lives. The mind does not care what you plant in it. It will return what you sow. It is both a faithful servant and a dangerous master. Consider how the ordinary person goes about their day. Thoughts of worry and doubt occupy their mind before breakfast. They think about bills, about what could go wrong, about what they lack, and without realizing it, they begin to instruct their subconscious to create exactly that. More worry, more lack, more limitation. The world around them slowly begins to mirror what they have accepted as truth within themselves. But imagine instead if those same moments of quiet were filled with thoughts of purpose, gratitude, and vision. The difference between success and stagnation lies not in effort alone, but in the kind of thoughts that lead that effort. When we speak of success, most people think of something external, money, recognition, power. But true success begins much earlier. It begins the instant a person decides to control what they allow to dominate their mind. Thought is the original cause of everything. Behind every invention, behind every great building, behind every triumph of the human spirit, there was first a mind that dared to think differently. The airplane, the light bulb, the telephone, all of these existed first as a thought, long before they became reality. The creative process of life follows one pattern: thought, followed by action, followed by result. Change the thought, and you change the outcome. You can trace this principle in your own life. Every habit you hold today began with a single thought that you entertained long enough to believe. Every achievement you've ever experienced was born from a belief that it could be done. And every limitation you struggle with has its roots in a thought you once accepted as true. If you were to take inventory of your mind, you'd see that it contains the blueprint of everything you currently are and everything you are yet to become. Now, the extraordinary thing about this principle is its neutrality. It works equally well for success as it does for failure. If you think negative thoughts persistently, you will attract negative results. If you think with faith and clarity, life will begin to shape itself around that vision. The mind doesn't judge, it creates according to what it's given. This is why it's so important to become the master of your thoughts, rather than their servant. The same soil that grows weeds will also grow flowers. It only depends on what is planted and tended to. The majority of people never realize they are planting seeds all day long. Every moment, every reaction, every expectation is a seed being placed into the fertile ground of the subconscious. The person who constantly expects disappointment unconsciously prepares for it. The one who expects opportunity sharpens their eyes to see it when it arrives. Both will find what they are looking for, because thought directs attention, and attention directs action. Life always returns to you the reflection of what you persistently hold in your mind. If you were to take a simple idea and concentrate upon it every day, to think about it clearly, to imagine it vividly, to believe in it firmly, you would begin to notice small changes. People would appear, opportunities would align, resources would seem to gather as if drawn by an unseen hand. This isn't coincidence, it's the natural unfolding of a law as real as gravity. For the person who keeps their mind focused on a definite purpose, life becomes cooperative. For the one whose mind drifts aimlessly, life becomes chaotic. There is a discipline required in mastering thought. It's not enough to merely wish or hope. Wishing is passive, but thinking with purpose is active. You must train your mind as you would train a muscle, by consistent and deliberate use. Each morning you must choose what to think about, what to focus on, and what to reject. If a thought of failure tries to enter, counter it with an image of success. If doubt whispers, answer with faith. You are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are the architect who chooses the design. Once you begin to realize this, something remarkable happens. You start to feel a quiet confidence, not the loud, boastful kind, but a calm assurance that comes from knowing you are steering your own ship. Circumstances may rise and fall, but your direction remains firm. The person who governs their thoughts governs their destiny. The one who lets their thoughts run wild becomes a passenger in their own life, tossed by every wave of circumstance. You cannot control the world, but you can control the one thing that shapes how you experience it, your mind. And when you do, the world itself begins to change. You will see possibilities where others see problems. You will find hope where others find despair. You will attract opportunities because you will be prepared for them. That is the power of thought, and it is available to every single person who chooses to use it. If there is one lesson to be drawn, it is this: what you continually think about, you will inevitably become. Guard your mind as your greatest treasure. Fill it with images of what you desire, not what you fear. Think clearly, think confidently, think constructively. For within the quiet laboratory of your mind lies the greatest secret of all, that your life is nothing more, and nothing less, than a mirror reflecting the thoughts you hold most deeply. Every age believes itself to be the busiest, the noisiest, the most distracted in history. Yet never before has the world been so flooded with information and so starved for wisdom. We scroll endlessly, read fragments, chase novelty, and call it learning. But in this storm of voices, one thing remains constant: the quiet power of thought. No technology, no device, no app will ever replace the individual who learns to think with purpose. Because no matter how the tools of the world change, the principle remains: what you think about most of the time you move toward. The laws of success haven't expired. They have simply been buried under the clutter of noise. The difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful one is rarely intelligence or opportunity, it is direction. Most people drift. They wake up without a plan, rush through the day responding to whatever demands their attention, and by nightfall wonder why they feel unfulfilled. Their thoughts are scattered, reactive, aimless, and so their results are the same. But the moment a person defines a goal, something changes inside them. Their thoughts, which were once like loose fragments of dust, begin to align, forming a current of energy that moves them forward. When you decide where you're going, life begins to clear a path. A goal gives meaning to your thoughts, and thoughts give shape to your life. The person with a clear goal is like a ship with a charted course. Storms may come, winds may shift, but they always know their direction. The one without a goal, however, drifts endlessly, letting tides of circumstance determine their fate. In a world full of distraction, it's not intelligence that determines success, it's the ability to hold one thought long enough for it to become real. The mind, when focused, becomes a magnet. It begins to attract people, ideas, and opportunities that harmonize with its dominant purpose. Many believe that success belongs to those with the best opportunities, but opportunity is rarely what's missing. The truth is that opportunities are everywhere, but only visible to the mind prepared to see them. A person focused on fear will see only obstacles. One focused on growth will see doors where others see walls. The same world, the same day. Two very different lives, all because of what each person chooses to think about. When you hold a definite purpose, your subconscious begins to work day and night, aligning your actions and perceptions to fulfill that idea. The world outside merely responds to the command given from within. Think of a seed planted deep in the soil. It doesn't question how it will break through the ground. It simply grows toward the light, because that's the direction it's programmed to follow. So too, the mind that holds a definite vision will always find a way upward. It might not know every step, but it knows the destination. And that is enough. The greatest mistake most people make is waiting to see the entire staircase before taking the first step. They forget that faith is a principle of movement, the willingness to take one step while trusting that the next will appear. Once you begin moving toward your purpose, unseen help seems to arrive. It's remarkable how the universe bends to assist the one who knows what they want. Call it divine order, call it natural law, call it the psychology of focus. It doesn't matter what name you give it, it works just the same. When your mind is clear and your purpose defined, the very air around you seems to organize in your favor. You start meeting the right people, reading the right book at the right time, hearing the right idea at the moment you need it most. But none of that happens for the person whose thoughts are confused, divided, and unfocused. The law of attraction doesn't reward noise, it responds to clarity. And yet, this is where most fall short. They set a goal, but they don't hold it long enough. They think about it for a day, maybe a week, and then let it dissolve beneath daily worries. But thought requires persistence. The mind, like a field, needs continual tending. If you don't cultivate the crop, weeds will take over. You must remind yourself every day what your goal is and why it matters. Write it down. Speak it aloud, picture it as already achieved. This is not superstition, it's repetition, and repetition is the mechanism by which thought becomes habit and habit becomes reality. Every great success has followed this same quiet pattern. A thought, held with faith and purpose, eventually hardens into fact. The dreamer becomes the door not because the world suddenly favors them, but because they have learned to hold a single idea longer and stronger than anyone else. They refuse to let it go, and in time, the world cannot help but conform to that persistence. The same law applies to every one of us, whether we believe in it or not. So if you wish to rise above the noise of this modern world, learn to think deliberately. Learn to hold a single thought with calm, unwavering faith. The world will offer you 1,000 distractions, each whispering for your attention. But remember, the one who knows what they want will always outperform the one who merely reacts. Direct your mind as you would a beam of light, sharp, focused, and steady. For in a world of scattered minds, the person who learns to think clearly, who knows where they're going, will always stand out as a beacon of purpose, and inevitably of success. There comes a moment in every life when a person must stop and ask, what am I really thinking about all day long? Not what they're doing, not what they're saying, but what they're thinking. Because the truth is, our outer lives are nothing more than the reflection of our inner conversation. You cannot live one way in your mind and another way in the world. The world eventually catches up to what you've been whispering to yourself in silence. If your thoughts are of doubt, fear, and failure, they will show themselves in your results. If they are of confidence, faith, and vision, they will shape your world into something remarkable. The human mind was designed to create, but it must be directed, or it will create confusion instead of progress. The difference between an ordinary day and an extraordinary one is found not in circumstance, but in attention. Two people can walk through the same city, experience the same challenges, and meet the same opportunities. Yet one will see nothing but limitation, and the other will see possibility. The reason is simple. What we expect to see determines what we notice. The world doesn't shape our vision shapes how we see the world. Every invention, every great business, every work of art came from someone who decided to look beyond what was and focus on what could be. That power, to see beyond, is born in the mind trained to think in terms of possibilities rather than restrictions. When you begin to guide your thoughts toward a definite purpose, something powerful happens. You become selective about what you allow to enter your consciousness. You begin to treat your mind like sacred ground, no longer permitting weeds of worry or resentment to grow there. Every time you dwell on a problem, you strengthen it. Every time you focus on a solution, you give energy to the answer. Life reflects your dominant focus. The mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It simply obeys the images and words that you repeat most often. That's why successful people talk differently, think differently, and even carry themselves differently. They are constantly rehearsing success in their minds long before it arrives. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to attract good fortune, it's not that they are lucky. It's that they have learned to align their thinking with their purpose. They carry within them a sense of direction, so strong that it bends circumstance in their favor. When a setback occurs, they don't see it as failure but as feedback. When a door closes, they don't stare at it in despair. They turn their mind toward the next opportunity. The secret lies in their habitual response. Instead of thinking, "Why did this happen to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this? And where can I grow next?" That simple shift in mental language transforms defeat into education. Most people spend their energy trying to control events, but events are only the results of earlier thoughts. The wise person focuses instead on controlling their own reactions, because reactions come from thoughts, and thoughts create reality. You can't stop the waves of circumstance, but you can learn to sail them. And the rudder of that ship is your thinking. When your thoughts are clear and disciplined, no wind can blow you off course for long. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. To the untrained eye, it's just a heavy stone. But in the sculptor's mind, there's already an image of what it will become. Every strike of the chisel is guided by that mental picture. The sculptor doesn't hope the figure will appear by chance. He knows it exists within, waiting to be revealed through purpose and patience. That's exactly how the mind works. Every clear thought you hold chisels away at the unformed stone of your potential. The vision you hold determines the shape your life will take. To think with power, you must think with purpose. Idle thinking leads nowhere. It drains your energy, scatters your focus, and leaves you at the mercy of circumstance. Purposeful thinking, on the other hand, organizes your mind like a well-trained orchestra. Every thought plays its part. Every note supports the melody. You begin to feel a sense of harmony between what you desire and what you do. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop chasing and start creating. This is the mental shift that separates the average from the exceptional. It's easy to underestimate the quiet work of thought because it doesn't show immediate results. But the greatest transformations happen gradually, unseen at first. Just as a seed breaks open underground before it ever breaks through the soil, your thoughts begin shaping your life long before the evidence appears. Keep thinking the right thoughts long enough, and you will eventually live inside them. Guard your attention like the most valuable possession you own, because it is. Whatever captures your attention captures your future. Don't waste it on gossip, fear, or envy. Instead, give it to ideas that lift you higher, to goals that make you grow, to visions that challenge you to become more. The world changes when a person begins to think consciously, deliberately, and with belief. Every invention, every movement, every leap of progress was born from someone who learned to direct their thoughts like a beam of light, steady, unwavering, and focused on what they desired most. When you master your thinking, you master your life. For thought, like gravity or electricity, is a force that never stops working. You can ignore it or you can learn to use it. The choice is yours. But one thing remains certain. Your life today is the sum total of all the thoughts you have allowed to guide you. Change those thoughts, and you change everything. There is a timeless truth about success that most people overlook. It is never born in a single moment of inspiration, but in the quiet, steady rhythm of persistence. The individual who achieves remarkable things is not the one who burns bright for a day, but the one who keeps the flame alive through dark nights, long seasons, and unseen labor. Success, like nature, moves in cycles. The farmer plants, waters, waits, and only after patience and care does the harvest come. The same is true for every dream, every goal, every transformation. You cannot rush the seasons of growth. You can only nurture them. Thought, when repeated with belief, becomes habit. Habit, when practiced long enough, becomes character. And character determines destiny. Yet so many abandon the process before it has a chance to work. They plant seeds of purpose one day and dig them up the next to see if they've grown. They lose faith in the invisible stage of progress, that mysterious period where nothing seems to be happening on the surface, even though everything is happening beneath it. The truth is that success is never absent, it's just often unseen. It begins quietly, in the moments when you choose to continue believing, even when results have not yet appeared. Discipline is the bridge between thought and achievement. Without it, even the greatest ideas dissolve into wishful thinking. It's not enough to know where you're going. You must keep moving toward it, step by step, even when enthusiasm fades. Every person begins with excitement, that rush of energy when a new goal takes shape, but very few sustain it. The world rewards consistency more than brilliance. One small, deliberate action repeated daily is worth more than 1,000 bursts of effort that end in fatigue. Greatness is not in the explosion, it's in the endurance. Think of the sculptor who returns to the same piece of stone day after day. To a passerby, it may seem as though nothing changes, but each strike of the chisel, each careful movement, brings form to the invisible. The same is true in your life. Each day you think rightly, act purposefully, and persist in faith, you are shaping something magnificent, even if you can't yet see the final form. The key is patience and trust in the process. The law that governs creation is unchanging. What is held in the mind, nourished with belief, and acted upon with persistence must one day appear in reality. But persistence does not mean stubborn repetition without reflection. It means learning as you go, adjusting as you grow. The person who endures intelligently understands that failure is not defeat, it's instruction. Each challenge reveals something about the path forward. The most successful people are not those who never fail, but those who refuse to let failure define them. They see in every obstacle the seed of advantage. They understand that life does not test us to break us, it tests us to prove us. The storms are not sent to drown us, but to teach us how to navigate. Every great achievement requires faith, not blind optimism, but the kind of faith that acts even when logic wavers. Faith that says, I do not yet see it, but I know it's coming. When you continue to work toward your goal with that kind of inner conviction, you activate forces beyond your awareness. Ideas begin to flow. People begin to appear. Opportunities align. What once felt impossible becomes inevitable. The mind, when convinced of its direction, begins to influence the world around it in subtle, powerful ways. There will always be moments of doubt. Every person who has ever succeeded has walked through valleys of uncertainty. What separates the achiever from the quitter is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Fear visits everyone, only some refuse to let it stay. The way to overcome fear is to act in spite of it. To replace hesitation with motion, uncertainty with effort. Movement itself builds confidence. The act of doing transforms anxiety into strength, and as you continue, the unknown begins to lose its power over you. The tragedy is that most people give up just before the tide turns. They let fatigue, boredom, or temporary failure convince them that progress isn't happening. But success is often just beyond the point of greatest frustration. When it feels hardest to continue, that is when growth is happening deepest. The roots of the oak tree are invisible while they strengthen beneath the earth, but when they finally rise, they stand immovable. So it is with the human spirit. To live with purpose, you must commit to the long journey, to plant, to tend, to wait, and to believe. There is no instant harvest in the field of achievement. You will work long before you see reward, but the reward will come because the law is constant. We reap what we sow, provided we keep sowing. So never stop nurturing the vision that burns within you. Keep thinking the thoughts that build it, taking the actions that align with it, and speaking the words that sustain it. The harvest may not come today or tomorrow, but it will come, exactly when you have become the kind of person capable of receiving it. Every person, whether they know it or not, is broadcasting a message to the world through the frequency of their thoughts. Like a signal sent out into the air, your mind constantly emits the pattern of what you believe, expect, and imagine for yourself, and the world, in its own mysterious way, echoes that signal back to you. Success is not something that comes from outside. It is something you draw to yourself through the power of who you become. The secret to attracting success lies in one unchanging truth: life doesn't give us what we want. It gives us what we are prepared for. The mind that thinks in harmony with growth will always invite growth. The mind that dwells in fear will unconsciously build walls that keep opportunity away. When a person begins to think in the language of faith and purpose, they change not only their results but their very atmosphere. People begin to feel it. Doors that once seemed closed begin to open. Circumstances that appeared random begin to align. It isn't magic, it's law. Like gravity or the turning of the seasons, this law never stops working. The thoughts you hold, the emotions you cultivate, the words you speak, they are all blueprints sent into the invisible, waiting to take form in the visible. That's why it is impossible to live one way internally and expect another result externally. The inner world always builds the outer one. Think of the people who seem to attract success naturally. They are not born under luckier stars. They have simply trained their minds to think in a way that harmonizes with success. They speak with conviction. They act with direction. They see themselves not as victims of chance but as participants in creation. Because of this, everything they do carries an unseen confidence, a quiet authority that draws opportunities toward them. They do not chase success, they attract it by becoming the kind of person success is drawn to. To understand this is to grasp one of life's greatest powers. You are not merely reacting to the world. You are shaping it. The thoughts you hold in your mind are creative tools, molding your destiny with precision. Hold thoughts of gratitude, and you will find more to be grateful for. Hold thoughts of worry, and you'll discover new reasons to worry. Life has an uncanny way of returning to you whatever you send out. The question then becomes, what are you broadcasting? What thoughts, emotions, and expectations are you transmitting every day? Because whether you realize it or not, those signals are attracting the very conditions that fill your life. Now, it's important to remember that this law of creation does not work through idle daydreaming. It responds to clarity, consistency, and belief. You cannot think of success one day and doubt yourself the next, for the mind cannot hold two conflicting images without confusion. You must decide once and for all what you truly desire, and then hold that image firmly in your mind, without fear, without hesitation. That image becomes the compass by which your subconscious navigates. It begins to influence every decision, every reaction, every step you take. Slowly, often imperceptibly, your world begins to rearrange itself in alignment with that vision. Every great builder starts with a mental picture of what they intend to create. They don't stare at an empty plot of land and despair over what's missing. They see, with their inner eye, the finished structure, the walls, the windows, the details, and then they begin the work of construction. The same is true for the builder of a life. You must see the finished result before it exists. You must walk, talk, and think as though it were already true. This is not pretending, it is preparing. You are shaping your inner world to match the outer reality you intend to build. And yes, there will be moments when doubt tries to creep in, when the evidence around you seems to contradict your belief. But that is when faith must speak louder than fear. It is easy to believe when everything is going your way. Real strength is believing when nothing has yet changed. Hold your thoughts steady in those moments, because that is when the real work is happening. The invisible is always moving before the visible catches up. The person who quits too soon never realizes how close they were to seeing their thoughts made flesh. Success is not something mysterious, reserved for a chosen few. It is the natural result of right thinking sustained over time. The person who dares to hold an image of greatness in their mind long enough will eventually live inside it. Their actions, shaped by their beliefs, will draw to them the people, the resources, and the circumstances needed to make it real. That's why it has been said that to change your world, you must first change your mind. For once the mind accepts an idea as truth, it begins to organize life itself around that belief. So each day, think deliberately. Speak words that align with your highest vision. Expect good not by chance, but by law. Carry within you a calm assurance that the same creative power that moves the stars above moves within your own consciousness, waiting to build through you. You are the architect, the sculptor, the gardener of your own destiny. Whatever you continually think about, feel about, and act upon becomes your world. And when you truly understand this, you will stop chasing success and begin becoming it. So after all that has been said, the message remains simple. The same message spoken decades ago, still echoing across time. We become what we think about. Every great achievement, every dream fulfilled, every transformation of a life begins not with luck or circumstance, but with a single decision. The decision to master one's own mind. Success has never been a mystery. It has always been the result of direction, discipline, and belief. If you wish to change your world, begin with your thoughts. Plant ideas of courage instead of fear, purpose instead of doubt, abundance instead of lack. Guard those thoughts as the seeds of your destiny, water them daily with faith, and act upon them with persistence. The harvest may not come tomorrow, but it will come, because it must. The mind obeys the law of cause and effect. What you continually think about, you continually move toward. The truth revealed long ago still stands unbroken. You are the builder of your own life. Every moment, every choice, every thought is another brushstroke on the canvas of your future. The tools are already in your hands. All that remains is to decide what masterpiece you will create, and to begin creating it today.